Welcome, Japan.
Hello and welcome to Why Come Japan, the show where I interview creatives on the show. And today with me I have Mr. Jimmy L. Sanchez. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Jimmy Lynn, doesn't matter.
One of those. You have like an alias you go by?
I don't really have an alias. I basically been given every name in a book. So yeah, 7 words you can't say on television. Probably been called all 7 of them at some point.
Oh, really? Okay, so Jimmy, I understand that you're a follower of mine, and you're a big fan of the show.
Yes.
Why Come Japan? Great. You said your favorite episode was the one with Sam?
Yes, Tikio Sam has definitely been my favorite one to date. They've all been good, but it's like with Tikio Sam more of a comical type of guy, and his stuff goes over the top sometimes, but I love it. I mean, Tikio Sam, if you listen up, love your stuff, man.
Cool. Well, yeah. So today, what was most interesting is that you messaged me and you hit me up and you told me that you used to work for NHK.
That's correct.
Wow. Yeah. And Jimmy gave me his what is this? Is this like a
more or less of like the reports that I'd done, but also the sheet that I gave you here is also like my acceptance letter from NHK.
Acceptance letter. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a note to our listeners out there, you probably hear all these echoes and stuff. If hopefully Mr. Andy has taken those out. If it has, then I'll edit the part out. But yeah, one thing you should know is that Tokyo's a noisy-ass city, and when trying to find a quiet area, all you get is echoey areas. Yeah, so I want to understand more of this. It's like how an average schmo like myself would get into something like NHK. For our listeners out there, NHK is, what's that stand for? Nippon
Honsen
something cool.
Yeah, very cool.
You don't know? I don't know either.
I don't even remember it anymore, to tell you the truth.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this is like a Google question. You could probably
Japan Broadcasting Company, how about that? Or Japan Broadcasting Corporation for us North Americans, parts of Western Europe,
right.
Stuff like that. Too many alternate names.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know. So it says here you were part of the NHK World TV Program Monitor. So you're monitoring stuff.
Yes.
Is that like what is it? Watching it and then giving like reviews or?
Well, essentially put in. I'm not sure if they have changed this since 2013. For our listeners out here, I did this program from April 1st, 2013 to September 30th, 2013. My situation, I did this a little different compared to most. One other note, this is something that a lot of people could actually do right from your own homes, wherever you are listening to around the world. But there are some stipulations and catches. So what I did here was a different situation. The basics of it is, the first week of February and the first week of August, there are 2 separate times of the year where you can actually apply to become a program monitor. You have to go through NHK World's website particularly, and they have all these questions. They have changed them up over time, but recently it's like your name, where you're from, what kind of education you have, where you work, if you have any knowledge in journalism, which wasn't the case back then, and I do not have a journalist degree. I've never taken a journalistic class in my life. Back then, it was there was also a 500-word essay on why you want to work for NHK, and also a 250-word essay on your favorite show that's within the NHK World lineup. For me, was Newsline. I don't even remember what I wrote, but apparently they liked it enough that they hired me. But I think now it's just a 250-word essay on a show that you like on NHK World, and most countries in the world can actually show this on at least the internet. There are a lot of television stations out there within North America, particularly, and parts of Europe that do this as well, but there are starting to fizzle out a little bit. I might be able to explain that in fuller detail later.
Okay, so basically anybody can sign up for this. You don't have to have a journalistic degree or whatever the hell it is.
It would help in the situation, but if you like watching NHK World, you pretty much can watch this down pack. The easiest way to do this, even today, if you have 4 hours of uninterrupted time, watch it within a specific block, like from 0 hours to 400 hours, 4 to 8, etc., where the shows basically go in a recycle fashion. They do change them up every day, and at times, obviously, with the unfortunate situation with the 2011 Kanto earthquake and tsunami, there was that period of time where the television program slots were in complete disarray. NHK World does run different from NHK Education, NHK One, NHK whatever stations that are around in Japan. So this one is more or less of a worldwide English, mostly English-based channel.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so basically, if I wanted to sign up for this, I could.
Yes.
Okay, so it is still around.
It is still around.
Okay, so like if I wanted to, I mean, I'm not sure if you want to say this on air, but how much is the pay for this? Is it pretty good? Is it like
wasn't fantastic. This is why I said with my situation was rather unique. The overall salary, it depends on a few things. The base salary is 108,000 yen for the 6-month contract. However, it is based off of currency from your home country. For me, in my situation, I accepted the Japanese yen, even though I'm a United States citizen. You can get it in US dollars, European dollars, euro, the British pound, if that system still is available by the time that this comes out with Brexit and everything going out, so on and so forth. Actually, I'm going to leave this next question to Radrey because I think I know what next question this is, because as I mentioned before, my situation with coming to NHK is going to be a lot different from just about anyone else that does this program before or since.
Wait, what's my next question? I have no idea.
No, I mean, what I'm thinking was like, why was my situation unique from everybody else?
Oh, I see.
In this situation, I was allowed to work initially from home in the United States of America. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to experience it firsthand. So I was able to convince them to allow me to go to Japan. At the time, this was almost a no-no, but I wanted to experience the country. I've had family members that have lived and visited Japan, and I've at the time never been. So I accepted the contract. When I got the letter, it was more or less March 14th. I immediately went and faxed in my acceptance letter internationally and went immediately looking for anything. So I was able to get in just in time for my first day, which was April 1st, 2013, and just work with it. With that said, I essentially had made my apartment a home office, but I would not recommend it going through the route going to Japan, because 108,000 yen is essentially about 1,100 US now, but at the time of this happened, it was a little higher because of the fluctuation of the yen, especially from the point of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami to around Halloween of 2013. Everything was topsy-turvy. You throw a US dollar, you may get 75 yen, if that. In some situations, I was getting less than 70 because of the currency exchange, but I wanted to experience the country on my own. It was more or less like a dual project, but being able to watch these shows, doing the reports in peace and solitude, essentially allowed me to do this. I'm not saying that you had to be put in the situation I was in. It was just something I wanted to do at the time of my life. I was 30 when I started working with NHK and finished at 31.
Where are you from? You're from?
I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but at the time that I did this, I was in Norfolk, Virginia and Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, I could definitely pick up kind of a Philly accent from you. Definitely. I don't know, did you ever like listen to my voice? Like, saying, oh, he sounds like so much Colorado. Dude, you ever say that? Or like, you ever be able to like pinpoint accents?
I didn't know where you were from particularly. I thought that you were from New Mexico, to be honest, when you kept making those Santa Fe references until Tikio kind of gave that away in the previous Why Come Japan podcast.
Okay. Santa Fe.
Yeah, it seemed like he was throwing some jabs you weren't expecting at the time.
Well, that's
yeah.
Okay. Well, what, you heard like people in Santa Fe have a particular type of accent, or
no? I mean, like you mentioned once about like that very interesting subject. I think it was the Zobras.
Oh, it was the Zobras. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of friends that are from Albuquerque, particularly. Some from Santa Fe. Some going down to El Paso, Texas. So it was like that area. I had a lot of friends.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't even know what that was until you mentioned it. I was like, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking through, like, because you brought me all these papers about your time in NHK. Thank you for bringing them, by the way.
No problem.
So you did like a lot of shows. You did like Cool Japan, Begin Japanology. What else we got here? Tokyo Eye. You said that they're changing that or something?
Yeah, Tokyo Eye, once the the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, gave the 2020 Olympics to Tokyo, they kind of revamped it to more or less of a, I mean, it was always things to do while in Tokyo, particularly, but it was more based off of we need to get to a current day situation, something that would not, if you listen to it in 2017, will probably be the same or close to the same in 2020 once the Olympics come to Tokyo for the first time since 1960? 64, I should say. 1964.
So I'm looking through here, and I'm starting to think that a lot of these, how did you even find out about this?
Well, in 2009, I started to watch NHK World just by simple mishap. I was looking at books and stuff that I wanted to buy and came across the channel. And I knew about NHK as a child, but as I grew older and took one too many damn hits to the head, former athlete here, but it was like, well, let me check this channel out. And I started to notice the news, particularly NHK Newsline. I think they may have changed the name partially today, but the media caught my attention because they did all around the world, United States. It was none of this bullshit. As a side note, I'm 35 years old. I was born the month that it was 2 months after CNN headline news started in the United States of America. And this was at the time where cable started to take off finally. Mm-hmm. And as everyone knows that is my age, as time went around, media went completely sideways. It was just agenda driven and still is agenda driven. And I don't know if it ever will change, but at NHK, it was pretty much straightforward. They don't give you any BS. There was one or two things that kind of bothered me with it, but it was very minor. It was more or less, well, I'm from the United States. If this was said in the United States, they would be heads chopped off. Just basically like today, if you make a mistake as a media, they want you fired. And all of a sudden, boom, fired. Boom, fired. I mean, what was the guy that was fired very recently? Bill O'Reilly. I didn't like the guy's stuff, but he didn't.
I don't think a lot of people like this stuff. I think,
but it's like as a United States citizen, you were given a First Amendment right. It wasn't like he said the 7 words he couldn't say on television. I know he did a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have done, and that did deserve his firing. But they made it more media based at first until it was like, well, let's get TMZ or let's get someone to dig up more stuff on your persona. And that's the problem we've been having in my country and probably the continent, a lot more in the United States. There was something that Tico said in his episode where once you become a celebrity or even somebody on the internet or on television, and my media attention at first was as an athlete, and then that went away, and then it came back as a YouTube celebrity at first. And it was like people wanted to get through your mentions. People wanted to know what you did or didn't do, what they want to know, your political backgrounds and stuff. And it's like, you know what? I'm not going to give that to you. I'll give you what I think you should get. And it's plenty. It's plenty enough.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's like, I don't think you should ever political background nowadays. I mean, like, look what happened to what's his name? John Tron. You hear about that whole thing?
Yes, I just...
Yeah. You know,
it's like the game of Russian roulette, but not in the situation where the gun's pointed to your head. It keeps going to your foot, and they shoot it. The bullet goes into the foot, then it goes into the kneecap, then it goes into the hip, then it goes right to the heart, and then that's the end of it. Like, people need to stop making such a big deal about this kind of stuff. But I know that there are a lot of people out there that have no life whatsoever and have an agenda that they just want to create something out of nothing just so there's news. I've said this before where I would give the rest of my life away on the house if they would go back to the 3-channel system that we had in the United States of America when it came to
3-channel system.
Yeah, like CBS, NBC, ABC, or CBS, NBC. The old days where you had the old little television with the little switch thing to go click, 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 click. That kind of deal, because back then it was like all the news you needed was from that. And then now they needed to fill 24 hours of time when you had 3 channels that ran for 16 hours a day, 12 hours a day, whatever the case is. And you have to come up with something. You can't just be like, well, this puppy was saved. Cool. Now you have to find out if the person treated the animal wrong or if he threw it halfway across the block or something like that. Try to create something out of nothing, and then all this crap happens nowadays. Yes.
So you found NHK just through like looking through their website, or I was a little confused.
I did. I actually was doing a Google search on books from Japan, and then NHK came out because NHK has done a lot of done a lot of books, done a lot of like opera. What's that called? That opera word, kabuki.
Opera.
Kabuki. Kabuki theater.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of sumo wrestling. I mean, I watched some sumo wrestling as a kid and as a teenager. I mean, NHK was on little bits and spurts from their main station before NHK World was established in 1998, and then from that point on, it's been in some stations across the world.
Okay,
My city particularly.
So you were just on the website and it just says, "Hey, join our monitoring program."
I actually went onto it for the channel, and then one day in February of 2010, that's when I noticed it, and I applied every 6 months for 4 years until I just got lucky because I always get the rejection letter, and I would
Really, 6 months or 4 times?
like it would be in February, like first week of February or second week of February, one or the other nowadays. And then in August it's the same because the contracts are 6 months. Also a note, and I found this out the hard way. If you do get a contract for 6 months, there's a 99.99% chance you're not going to be able to get a second one right away. And if you do not get the second one, you're not allowed to apply for that period of time either. I found that out the hard way. I got kind of a harsh letter from NHK in, February of 2012 not 2012, 2014 when I tried to reapply.
Really?
And I have not been able to come back since.
So it's pretty competitive.
Yes. I mean, I don't know how it's determined. I don't know if it's based off region or whatever. There's not a lot of us. The funny thing is we don't know anybody who gets it. You only know if you say it, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I honestly don't know how many are in there.
Well, it sounds like the most appealing thing about this is that just gaining the experience. Because you're saying like the salary's not so great.
Right.
But
you basically have something to put on your resume as an actual job, and then you get paid in a lump sum at the end. It was really nice to get that because it happened right as like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. So all of a sudden it's like, hey, I could buy both these systems if I wanted to. I was making okay money from my other job when I got back, but I also saved quite a lot of money through time just to make sure that it was a possibility for me to do this. Because if you did what I did blind, you'd be on the streets and probably prosecuted because they're not going to let homeless gaijin walk around the streets of anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I guess this brings me up to my second biggest question. Now, Jimmy L. Sanchez, he has this channel called the PlayStation Sanctuary that you upload every week, or was it every month, or,
it depends.
or whenever you feel like it, or
pretty much however I feel like it.
That's
like
the same thing with this podcast.
Yeah.
So, like whenever I have the energy to like edit it and put it together, but okay, so you like whenever. But I've noticed that you make a lot of episodes. You made a lot recently.
Yes.
And you start making them about individual games.
Yes.
Like the one I watched, last one I watched, I commented with 40 winks or something like that. Yeah. So now your goal is to like collect all of the PlayStation 1 library. Is that right?
Yes. In North America, there's 1,284 specifically released titles for the Sony PlayStation 1.
I did not know that.
Yes. My goal was to cover every one, but for me, since I'm not one of these, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I don't want to be a 15-year-old punk collecting emulation.
Oh, you better throw them out.
Okay, good. You're going under the bus. You're going under the bus. You're going under the bus. But
all right, who are these people?
I mean, anyone that looks as taking a disc and burn it. I don't want to talk to you guys if you fall within that category.
I mean, like emulators or something?
Yeah, like I personally buy the software and I use hardware. I have hardware editing services. They're not the greatest. I'm trying to improve on that with the help of the community because honestly, if I'm going to be doing this, it'd be best to make it a community effort because let's just put it this way. On an average year, I spend anywhere between $3,500 and $5,000 US a year. That's a lot of money to spend on that, and not including to like the cost of upkeep. I don't have a server yet. I don't have a website. I'm planning on having a website because I know you recently needed one for your podcast. I know that's not easy to either maintain or.
We only really need the website because iTunes needs the website. Right.
And I wanted to do that with my original podcast, but I have since pretty much I put it on a hiatus. I don't know if I'm going to bring it back up because it was off the cuff. It was very poorly planned, and I apologize to anyone that has listened to those podcasts. Especially one in particular. I'm not going to give a name to, but it was horrible beyond words. I very briefly worked at a radio station in Norfolk when I was in college, and that didn't turn out too well either. But that particular episode was pathetic. But the main part of the what's now known as the Sanctuary, but people also call it PlayStation Sanctuary, also by its original name, the SP1SC. I do pickups videos. Recently I did one from a friend of mine from Osaka who sent me an enormous box out of the clear blue sky. It was awesome, but I try to do it every week that I do that I get stuff. I put it on a minor hiatus while I'm in Japan because it's just too much stuff to deal with that. The main page, what Radrey was saying was I'm trying to cover every single US PlayStation, not US, North America PlayStation 1 game, and I think I'm at about 10 or 11 of 1284. They're very time consuming, and I also work full time just so that this can even go off the ground because Patreon page ain't doing stuff. I'm not trying to completely rely on it. YouTube doesn't bring in a very high amount of money. I'm not trying to use that.
Nowadays it seems like you have to do all the that YouTube wants. Before it was really optional. And actually part of the thing that kind of really put a sour taste in my mouth with whole, because I was a pretty prolific video creator, like circa 2008, 2009.
Right.
But then like around 2010, it's like I stopped making so much. 2011. No, I think it was around 2011. It's just when I just decided to stop. It was like around the earthquake.
Yeah, it's about the same here.
So you made a lot of stuff before that as well.
Yes, the Sony PlayStation 1 Sanctuary channel is actually my second channel that I have owned. Starting in 2007, just for the fun of it, because I needed something to do in my time when I moved to Virginia.
Why anybody does anything, really.
From 1995 to 2007, well, actually it still goes on today, but we had like this group of video game fanatics from a few areas of the world: Tokyo, Japan, Lancaster City, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who wanted to do something within our group. We started as 3 guys on our first day of junior high school in 1995. Just wanted to do something fun, and it went on to from Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation when it was brand new. I mean, PlayStation was not even out stateside when we started this group. Then we started to do video game tournaments, and then we wanted to do a little more, but nobody had the time nor effort, I guess, to do the channel, a YouTube channel. So I created one in 2007, and it did spectacularly at first. Unfortunately, I hit the buzzsaw with an employee who demanded that I had closed the channel when I had a little over 1,000 subscribers and better part of 1.25 million views a year.
Why did they want you to shut down the channel?
They considered it a conflict of interest. And the funny thing was, when you put everything together in the line, there was no conflict of interest. I guess they didn't like the fact that I was bringing attention to it, but it was never negative attention. I mean, if anyone saw the channel back then, it was straightforward reviews, systems, games, unless you ticked me off, and then it became a whole nother story. But then as I grew past my mid-20s into my early 30s and now my mid-30s, I've grown a lot more mature about it.
Okay, well, wait, who was it that said that it was a conflict of interest? It was your employer?
My employer.
Oh, okay, the one you're with right now.
No, the one who I was with then.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, can I mention it?
Yes.
Is it GameStop?
GameStop.
Oh, okay, all right.
The evil empire that will probably cease stores in a matter of 3 years at the rate that they're at right now.
Why do you say that?
Let's just put it this way. Their stocks suck. How they treat employees suck. I was a seasonal key holder in 2009, was expected to work 7 weeks and would have been let go of a job, which was fine. They kept me on. I advanced the ladder. I ran a no-nonsense, I will give it to you straight as an arrow opinion on a video game. They tell us to tell people how to approach a game. I told them they could fire me on the spot because I wouldn't refuse it. A lot of people came to my help for stuff because they knew that I would be honest. I played just about everything that came into the stores. They had systems where we can try stuff out, and I would tell them straight up, it was either great, okay, buy it used, or at your own risk.
So you're saying there were chances or times when they'd say like, hey, we're trying to promote Gran Turismo 4, but you need to sell it to people.
Yes, they have done that. Okay. And Gran Turismo 4 was a fantastic game, but like
I could think of a better example.
I know, but like there were games out there that were just god awful. Like, let me see if I have one.
I mean, like a true story is is I remember I went to GameStop and I told the guy at GameStop, I said, yeah, he's like, you gotta try Gran Turismo 4, man. It's great. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm not in the racing games. And he goes, you're not in the racing games. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, who is this guy?
That person needed to be smacked right across the side of the face. Like, I would always ask, if I don't know the person personally, or if I don't see, like, if we grab a couple games from the shelf, he or she, at least I'll know a feeling what they may be interested in. Yeah. But I never push a sale. I would never be like, what's wrong with you in this situation? Like, perfect example that came up. When Aliens Colonial Marines came out, there was a very, very controversial moment. Not necessarily on GameStop side, but with Sega. The morning, let's just put it this way. At 9:30 in the morning, the day of that release in North America, Sega made a public release stating that the game was outsourced. They never mentioned to the public it was outsourced. The game was basically broken, incomplete. They let us know about it. They were telling us to push sales to the game anyway, and also to keep on pre-orders. I got my line of people because I was the only one that was working that day, at least at open. I went, I brought everyone into the store against their policies early. I explained what was going on. I was like, if you want to cancel your pre-order, please do so. I will not take it against you. I never took it against people that did that. But they had that huge problem where if you push people for pre-orders, if it didn't happen, the bullets in your head, you're gone from the company. They think that, oh, great, I can play all the video games in the world that I want. I could do whatever I want with this company. No. It was basically a mix between your freedom and being in Alcatraz. Somewhere in between those two is GameStop right there. And if they don't watch what they do, their company's going to fall apart, like Circuit City, Radio Shack, stuff like that. And I worked for Radio Shack as a high school student, and in the United States, they're gone pretty much.
Well, I think that Super Bowl ad probably killed them.
That and many,
it was a pretty good Super Bowl
things.
ad. But...
Well, the thing that ticked me off with Radio Shack the most is when I was 17, and this was in 1999 when I started working for them. They had this thing called the Bible, Parts Bible. It was awesome. It was like 2,000 pages on things you need to know, and you had to land basically a perfect score to be certified in a specific category. Later, I found out down the line that people didn't even need it, like employees that were hired, and then you ask for a specific part, they look at you like, I don't know. Like, literally, it just made me look at them like...
Well, it's probably they only had the manual, probably just to say, well, we train our employees, you know, just so they could say that.
I was certainly trained, I'll say that much, but as time went around, it's like, you ask them for something as simple as a double-A battery, they'll give you a triple-A battery, say it's a double-A.
Yeah.
Or in the very...
That bad. Huh?
Yeah, it was bad. Like, I went to a Radio Shack about 2 weeks ago, and I live in now the 5th largest city in the United States of America, that just over eclipsed by Phoenix, but they're having an out of business sale, and I was asking for a specific part for my computer.
This is Philadelphia.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was as simple as an international converter, and they couldn't even help me with this, yet there were converters. It like the store was essentially bare, but they had about as many items as possible, because I don't want to get the wrong item, try to plug it into an outlet here in Japan, and boom, have a international incident, because this country's pretty quiet when it comes to crime and incidents. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I set my hotel on fire because I got the wrong plug. I put something in a 100-volt socket that's 220 volts, and
I think the power would just go out. That's all that would happen.
Sometimes. I've actually had caused the computer to set on fire when I was 24.
Really?
Once doing that? Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then trying to...
I've never had a computer got set on.
Yeah, it was like I used to build computers from time to time in college to make some money, because I came from a fairly well-to-do family, especially in my latter part of my teenage years, and I refused to live off ramen as the normal college student type thing. But it was like I needed to do something with my time, even though college and athletics took a majority of it. Mm-hmm. But I needed money still. And that's also another thing that screwed up with our nation today. The fact that athletes and that whole pay thing, but I have no comment for that. Literally, I'm just gonna leave it as it is, because my opinions are actually going to be a little different than what people think on that. I don't want this to turn into a controversial episode.
Oh, it should be.
Right, but I mean,
good for our channel.
Right, but then shots will be thrown at you when you don't want them to be thrown, and then they'll throw them at me. Well,
what's that guy? H3H3 Productions.
Oh yeah.
Like I think the only reason why everybody found out about it was Yeah, it was because of the controversy. It was because he got sued. And everybody was like saying, this guy got sued. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? You know? I mean, what was it? Like Bill Clinton says, there's no bad publicity. Or no, the only bad publicity is no publicity.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how he made it through his presidency terms, considering I'll just say it outright, the shit that happened at that point. But he brought a surplus to our country that has since fallen by $19.5 trillion in a matter of 17 years.
Pretty cray-cray.
I don't know how people can spend, how we can have trillions, literally over $1 trillion in debt a year since that's happened. Bring them back. I mean, I just bring them back as like a money manager or something. Right. $262 billion in the positive.
Yeah, well, I don't know anything about how that works. Same. Going back to GameStop. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard lots of people on the internet, like particularly YouTube, and nobody ever says anything good about GameStop. Yeah. It's like nobody ever says, "Man, I loved working at GameStop. Those are the days." You know, you never hear that.
Said no one ever. Yeah. Yes. My experiences went bad.
What's the worst thing that's ever happened there?
When I was told that I was investigated in 2014, one day out of the clear blue sky, I got sent on a meeting about 3 hours into my work shift, and they set it up like nothing was wrong. Next thing you know, I'm on a phone call. I don't know if you've seen some of my recent videos, but I've called out somebody. Okay. I will take the opportunity to do it again here just for the sake of it.
All right, do it.
I got a phone call. The phone call was given to me from someone by the name of Tony Allen, who was just named loss.
You hear that, Tony Allen? We're coming for you.
Yeah, fuck you, Tony Allen. Well, essentially put, I was fingered for selling stuff that I wasn't supposed to, which was never the case. And I gave all my information and everything that came up. Let's just put it this way. I had the meeting at, I think it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By 3:30, I was told I was being suspended. I was told that I was going to be heard a final ruling of what would happen. 11 o'clock the next morning, I'm coming back from an Asian supermarket with a lot of stuff on hand, got a phone call, said I was being terminated. I told him that I would appeal the termination. He told me straight up that no one has ever
terminated you? Or?
No, that no one has ever overruled a termination.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and I didn't say anything to him, but I knew there was an arbitration system put in place. Former employees of GameStop, you probably know about this a little too late. Current employees of GameStop, there is an arbitration system regardless of what people say.
So what is this arbitration?
Basically put, if you know, like more or less like a court of law, if you were found guilty of something, but there's a way that you know that you did not do it, but you have to submit all the stuff.
What did they accuse you of?
Accused me of selling stuff online, first off. Second off, being an ass to customers, which I never met in my life. And for those people out there, just because GameStop gives you stuff to make all these lies does not make you any better of a person. Majority of people that live off of GameStop and will defend it to no end literally have no life. And I don't give a flying fuck who I'm calling out on that. It is 100% true. I am a fan of their online site for one reason. I don't deal with customers when I'm online. If something is wrong, I return it. The only thing that's screwed up is I have to pay my own shipping back. But I'd rather deal with that than deal with some dimwit that's out there. And yes, I had worked for them for 5 years. And yes, I would be considered a dimwit working with these people. But I ran things differently. I ran things to a way a customer wanted to hear it. And this is why that company's gone to complete hell. But going back to the arbitration system, about a week later, I was given my hearing, my secondary hearing. Thinking I already had been I was hired back at a job I had prior to it, but I also had a second job. Found 2 jobs within a matter of 48 hours. I gave my evidence. They found no way that they could keep me terminated. They overruled it. I told them I quit immediately after they told me that I was going to be able to get my job back, because I told them this specifically. I was fired 4 years, 11 months, 4 weeks, and a day. I was so close to my 5-year anniversary with the company, and there was something big. I don't know what it was, but there was supposed to be something big when you make it 5 years. It's almost impossible. 5 years in a job like that is like 30 in a teaching position, the way that they make it run. Trying to remember what I was saying.
So wait, there's something they don't give to you after you've been there for 5 years.
They looked at it this way. they terminated me with less than a week before 5 years.
Okay.
I think there was something up with it because at this point
So
I was.
like, you can't put on your resume, or like maybe they have to give people raises or something.
That might have been one thing on it, but
Okay.
I've actually taken a pay cut once because I was at for 7 weeks I was a senior assistant store manager when my store was closed. I was actually part of 2 store closings in my career. I had a base store that I was always at, and then near the latter part of my career, near the end of my career, I was working at a day shop here, a day shop here. At one point, we had 17 stores. I don't even know how many are left out there. In Philadelphia, there were 5 in Center City. There's 1 left, and it's a temporary store. They're going down too because of the construction that's going on in the area. They wanted them gone completely, but you're seeing fewer and fewer GameStops. There were 4,400 when I started working there. I don't even know how many are left now, but yeah, the funny thing was the joke was on Tony Allen and his crew in the end. When I was rehired, I told him I refused to work because if they were going to do that to me at that point, what were they going to do next? I seen how they get rid of people. I knew someday they were going to do that to me. I didn't expect them to do it to me.
So wait, who's Tony Allen? Is he like the manager?
He was a loss prevention person. Like
loss prevention.
Yeah, like my personal store manager. I'm not going to say his name. He was a really good guy. He said he would help me out if anything would go wrong, and he did. But obviously, I mean, he was the one that taught me the arbitration system when I first started working at his location. But
you know what you should do? You should open up your own chain of stores. Call it Game Go. Rival GameStop. See which one does better. So you have quite the collection. You see, you collect all the PlayStation games, and you're in Japan here now.
Yes.
Are you trying to collect all the Japan games?
I just was seeing what's going around. I mean, it's been a while since I've been here, and I just wanted to enjoy it. I mean, I worked basically a decade without any paid time off, and with what I had to go through over the last decade and making very low wages, was impossible to take a vacation of any kind, much less Tokyo. And with my current job, it allowed me to make a fantastic salary and have the time constraints to do this, at least for now. I mean, I'm trying to make a comeback to come back here on another vacation sometime this decade, if not very early next decade. I definitely want to be here for the Tokyo Olympics in 2020 at the very least out there. I mean, I love being here in Tokyo, and I would give anything to come back here to live permanently, whether it's a business of my own or work for someone. But I wouldn't just work for anybody knowing my educational background. Mm-hmm. I would love to work for my current company here, but I think I was told I wasn't allowed to apply into 2019 due to their rules and stuff. But I'll bet your ass in 2019, if I'm still with the company, which I should be, I'm hoping to make that my last job in my career, unless somehow my channel blows up to the point where it does that. But even still, all channels are short-lived. As you mentioned, like you love doing your channel at first, and then things just got completely sidelined.
Well, I don't know. I guess I could talk about it a little bit here. But I mean, basically what happened is that everybody's like, yeah, you got to put a tag in the end, then you got to follow yourself on Facebook, then you got to smash a like button, then you got to put up you got to put up this here, and you got to make like an oh no Dick's face in the thumbnail, and then you got and it's like, why you telling me all the stuff to do? I just did this because I was fucking around, Right. And so I'm like, no, I'm done with this. I don't want to be involved with this. And then eventually I took a little hiatus, 2012, 2013. It wasn't until recently, like when I watched a bunch of these other like YouTubers that inspired me to make like more video essays again, which is something I'm really trying to work on here, which is taking a long time because I mean nowadays you really need to have like a team or somebody to help you with it because it's next to impossible. The logarithm, either A, you make a product that's really cheap and easy to produce, like the ones you make with just an individual video game where you show like slides or footage from the game.
I try to do full
footage. I mean, that's great. I mean, it's good to I don't feel threatened when I watch your videos because sometimes I feel like I'm always like threatened, like you need to do this. Your shirt needs to be 66%.
Watch my videos.
Yeah, watch these videos where the cat dies,
I might have to try that someday. I mean, it's like...
Oh, hell no, don't do that.
Okay, I won't do that. Like, if you see my channel, especially the older videos, and even with the exception of the the podcast that was horrible, and the individual game, the Massive North America game review set, you don't see thumbnails, you don't see all the stuff that you mentioned there, Radrey. Because, I mean, I see it too much, and I see it even more with North American reviewers than I do with people in Japan, and even people in Japan go well over the top most of the time on it. And it turned me off to some YouTubers from over there, and I really, really wanted to like them.
Yeah.
But it's like, no one's forcing me to like everybody out there. Like with your channel, I liked it because I liked your off-the-cuff stuff. And this was going back from the old days. And I mentioned to you years ago that I've wanted to be part of that. And now we finally get a chance to do this in some way. So, I mean, it was a long time coming, but I'm very grateful to have that opportunity.
Yeah, it seems like what I like about your channel is just that I don't, like I said, I don't feel threatened to watch it because I feel like, I don't know, it seems like these well-polished and well-put-together, videos. They feel so made for me. They seem like they're made to be really accessible, to reach like hundreds of people. Whereas when I see a video like yours, where it's just like you're talking over like a video game, kind of addressing your opinion about what the game looks like, what the sound is, how the design of it. And, it's just, it makes me feel like the pressure's off me as a viewer. Because like I feel like everything like is being pushed in my face sometimes, especially like with a lot of YouTubers today. Like, buy this, touch that, touch this, support my Patreon. Look at that.
It's basically old school Electric City Dragon Rat's YouTube channel stuff, but with about 1/6 or 1/7 of the subscriber base that I had back in the day. And I don't necessarily go for subscriptions, but they do help out on the bottom line.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like...
That's how you make friends.
Yeah, I mean, I met some wonderful people over time. There's someone... I'm not going to give a name because I don't know if this person wants his name reviewed, but I met someone that was from San Francisco who worked for a rather established video game company that went under a few years ago, but was able to do business transactions that I got some stuff that are literally one of a kind, which I cherish and adore. And now there are people out there that do really care about the channel. Most people are out there watch it for what it is, and there are people out there that hate on it. But that's where I know my channel could be successful, because there are haters out there.
All right. Anything you want to say before we go?
If you want to watch my videos on YouTube, you can go through a few ways you can do this. You can type in The Sanctuary and just find the PlayStation logo videos. Or if you want to be more direct, you can go to www.youtube.com/c/Jimmy L. Sanchez or Jimmy Lynn Sanchez, one or the other. If you want to look at what's going on the Patreon page, you can go to www.patreon.com/thesanctuary. I just recently changed that, so a lot of people that watch the older videos would see it under Jimmy Lynn Sanchez. And I mean, if you like the videos or the channel, just like it. I mean, just let me know what you want to see on it. The North American review series is probably going to go on. I hope to finish it before YouTube implodes itself.
I think we're fine. I don't think YouTube's going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 10 or 11 in of 1,284, and there's eventually soon I'm going to have holes in the series because I have... Oh, yeah, there's something else I can mention on that. If anybody has specific games that they do want to donate to the channel, you can contact me on there. I give full credit to people that do that. I will pay shipping if absolutely necessary, and this goes to anybody in the world. I'm not picky. Unlike any other channel on YouTube or any media platform, I am not biased to a specific category, European, North America, or Japanese, because as I was taught in GameStop, and also that I taught other people in time, once you start being biased of a specific series or a specific group, you're always going to be biased of everything eventually. If you at least try it, at least you could say, cool, I like it, or cool, I did not like it.
Right.
So I'll leave it with those very kind words of judgment, and also fuck Tony Allen.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Radori. That's RADORII. And of course, Facebook. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Thanks for sticking around. And of course, see you guys next.
Peace.